Today we have updates on Scream 7, the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot, and The Strangers Chapter 2. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, before we get into today's update video, I'd like to first ask you to support my channel on Patreon or through channel memberships. I've just rehauled the entire program to make better and more consistent rewards for my supporters in the form of an exclusive series called Horror Hot Takes. Ghostface tier patrons can view the series, while Art the Clown patrons get to pick the movies I cover. Alongside producer credits and shoutouts, it is a much better system that I hope you'll consider joining. Check this out by clicking on the link in the description below or by pressing the join button on my page. Thank you to everyone who is currently supporting me. Now let's get into it. It was recently announced that the Scary Movie franchise would return next year with a 6th installment. Fans have been wondering what will happen in the new one and have questioned if this generation of moviegoers could handle the controversial humor of the franchise. Nobody wants to see a watered-down Scary Movie either. It's made the excitement for this new installment feel pretty lukewarm for franchise fans. Today, however, we do have an interesting update from Cindy Campbell herself, Anna Faris. When asked what it would take for her to return to the long-standing franchise, Faris said, "I would love to work with Regina Hall again. I just love her so much. We would make each other giggle all day long. Regina Hall would be my answer. And money, but mostly all Regina." I love this quote for a few reasons. Both Faris and Hall were absent from the previous installment, Scary Movie 5, which is not only the lowest grossing film in the franchise, but also has some of the worst reviews for a film that I've ever seen. My personal favorite review of the film comes from Stephanie Mary of the Washington Post, who said this movie is so appalling that even a film fan who guffawed her way through The Aristocrats would feel nothing but a deep emptiness as the end credits begin to roll, wondering if one solid joke was too much to ask from a movie that bills itself as a comedy. Ouch! My own personal review sounds very similar. The quote from Anna especially resonates with me because it's the duo of Hall and Faris that makes many of the memorable moments from this franchise, even in its less desirable sequels. Like when Regina Hall is beating up Samara from The Ring in the living room during that one scene in part 3, that has to be one of the most memorable sequences from the whole franchise. Some of y'all want to hate on 3, but that might be my favorite one. I couldn't agree more with Anna Faris here that these two need to reunite for part 6. That would absolutely spark interest in a series that is otherwise deep in its grave of its own making. That has to happen, but also get the Wayans back on board. What are y'all doing not announcing that yet? If all of that can happen, this parody fan will be back on board. A ton of movement has been happening recently with the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot that looks to be arriving in summer of 2025. Let's talk about this cast and why the release date might be shifting. THR reports that a few younger actors are currently in talks to star in the reboot alongside legacy characters. They include Madeline Klein from Outer Banks, Camila Mendez from Riverdale, Tony Award nominee Sarah Pidgeon, Tyreek Withers from Atlanta, and Jonah Hauer-King from the live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. Also in talks are the original cast members Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. Sony is racing to get this film, directed by Jennifer Caton Robinson, in the can, hopefully in time for a scheduled release on July 18th of 2025. I doubt the film releases that day unless Sony wants to deliver a rushed product for the cinema. We don't know much about when production will begin, but these players are only in talks as of right now. Remember, Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. have both been in talks for a while now without confirmation. How soon is that going to come so that they can get filming? Whatever the timeline ends up being, give your team some breathing room in post, Sony. Sheesh. I get you want to compete with Scream 7, but this isn't the way to do it. Anyways, talking about this new take on the 90s franchise, it seems that I Know is borrowing the Scream 2022 model, as THR puts it, jamming new characters into a story alongside the legacy cast. I think it's really funny that we're crediting Scream 5 for coming up with that formula and not Halloween 2018, but hey, you do you, THR. The Scream comparisons make sense here, however, with Kevin Williamson penning the script for the original film that was released in October of 1997. Dude was the king of horror for a little while there in the 90s. The Riverdale cast has landed themselves in a lot of teen horror lately, with Madeline Pesh leading the ill-fated Strangers trilogy, which we're going to talk about in a second, and Cole Sprouse playing the creature in Lisa Frankenstein. Now Camila Mendez, who played Veronica on the show, is looking to play one of our leads here. Let's say the Sam Carpenter of the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. franchise. Also, jumping off from a teen drama is Madeline Klein from Outer Banks, the Tara character, presumably. Interestingly enough, she also played Tina in Stranger Things Season 2. The only thing I remember about the character is that she was ogling Billy and said something about his tight ass. Her words, not mine. I'm giving this movie a shot, but I definitely have some iffy feelings. Where in each new Scream movie you can utilize a new killer going after the same group of people, I know doesn't have that same luxury or range. It's all connected to that one incident where Scream can be about whatever the killer's motive ends up being. We've seen a few motives in that franchise already that really worked for me. Is the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise willing to reinvent itself to do something similar? We'll just have to see. Let's get into another embarrassing update for the new Strangers trilogy. Reshoots are currently underway for The Strangers Chapter 2 due to an accidental leak from official social media pages associated with the new trilogy. Mad shout out to Critical Overlord for bringing this to my attention. After doing some digging myself, it's rough to say the least. I won't be going into detail on the subject, but if you do the digging yourself, you can find some photo evidence of what we're talking about here. Anyways, reshoots are happening to change the outcome of the already ill-fated yet money-making series of continuations. I absolutely hated and despised The Strangers Chapter 1 as I found it to be a soulless cash grab that retreads the highlights of the first two movies. Besides the nail in the crawl space, the rest of the movie is completely uninventive and probably should have gone back to the drawing board before they even thought to shoot it. It seems as if the problems run even deeper with the trilogy, as today's update shows. What I will say is that the reveal we would have gotten wasn't going to be anything worth the time of Strangers fans. It would have explained why a certain character is behind the mask the whole time, which feels more like a Scream thing rather than the Strangers. There is also talk that new Strangers will arrive in the next two movies, called Ghost Skull and Witchface. I don't think they have the first fundamental clue of what the fans like about this home invasion franchise. I guess I'll see this one in theaters if it even comes out this fall as it was originally promised. Studios have got to stop putting the cart before the horse. This is a spitting example. According to Production Weekly, Scream 7 will shoot this fall in Atlanta, which is an interesting choice for a number of reasons. Perk your ears up, Scream 6 fans, this is gonna be good. Fan favorite character Kirby Reed was first introduced to us in Scream 4, giving an electric performance. She stood out for her horror intellect and no fucks given demeanor that many fans continue to resonate with. She was presumed dead at the end of the fourth film, but before his passing, the legendary director Wes Craven confirmed on Twitter that she was still moving when the camera cut away. This led the next creative team behind the ongoing slasher franchise, Radio Silence, Guy Busick, and James Vanderbilt, to add in a little Easter egg to Scream 2022, where it was confirmed that Kirby Reed had survived her stabbing in the previous film via YouTube video. Hayden Panettiere then reprised the role for Part 6 last year, where the character was reinvented entirely. After her near-death experience in Part 4, she decided to become an FBI agent off-screen, serving as the only good police presence in the previous film. Detective Bailey, obviously not so much. A throwaway line from our latest Ghostface, Wayne Bailey, in Scream 6 tells us that Agent Reed is stationed in Atlanta, Georgia, the same place the seventh film plans on filming soon.
Hey, Jack, call the Atlanta field office. Dig up what you can on Agent Reed.
I've always liked the idea of her showing up for all future Scream movies to help take on a new Ghostface killer, essentially serving as the police presence. But now with many people speculating that Patrick Dempsey might not even be in the film because he's going to be very busy with that Dexter prequel this fall, maybe the film focuses a little more on Sydney and Kirby's relationship. I also wouldn't mind another shift in location. I mean, going to Atlanta or Seattle, Washington, I don't care, just somewhere new. That was fun in the last flick. A big thing with this franchise is I just don't want to tread old ground again. The best parts of Scream 6 are when they tried to do something new, but when they fell back and rested on their laurels in that third act, everyone turned away. Take us to a new city with a brand new Ghostface who has a brand new spankin' motive. No family members. Sometimes I feel like the Edna Mode of the Scream franchise. No capes, no family members.
I never look back, darling. It distracts from the now.
What do you guys think about today's updates? Which one made you the most excited? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.